We're gonna record this. Hello, everyone. We're gonna do a little screen share action because I really don't want to go live on Facebook if you can't see, the actual presentation. I'm going to try to stay focused. Please, there's a Q&A section. So if you have a question, don't put it in the chat, like a question that you actually want me to answer at the end. Don't put it in the chat because I won't see it. Like it'll just, I'm gonna try not to look at the chat too much because I get distracted. So put it in the Q&A section. Feel free to chat in the chat and I will, look through it just in general. But yeah, let's get into it. So today is the mindset training. It's a bonus mindset training. Thank you for joining me today. I am so happy to have you all here. In the chat, why don't you let me know, like, what's the biggest thing? What's the number one thing that you learned this week? Like, what's your biggest takeaway? The thing that's like really standing out in your mind right now? I would love to see before we get started. You're still making progress. Fears are a gift that I can eat. Yeah. What you need to feel safe. Discomfort means I'm on the verge of a breakthrough. Yes. The size of my body is not my fault. Yeah. Rebellion is a normal part of the process. It's necessary. We love rebellion. Should equals performing. Yeah. Awesome. Oh yeah. Okay. I saw that Q&A. We will talk about it. Dieting is linked to all the people pleasing and fear-based actions. Our culture is toxic. Yes. Yes. Okay. So great. You all learned a lot this week. I love it. Oh, I can't make decisions from a place, or I don't know if I'm making decisions from fear or if I'm making decisions from values. We're actually going to talk about that today. That's part of the mindset. So can everyone see the presentation? We're all good on that? Awesome. You have it within you. Exactly. Okay. So food freedom for life mindset training. This is all about the mind. So we're going to repeat some things that we talked about already this week and go a little bit deeper. So it's like, I talked about a lot of things, but how do you actually use them? But first, I kind of want to recap for anyone who is tuning in. I know there's probably people who are able to tune in today who haven't had a chance to watch the first 3 videos. If that's you, like I highly recommend you watch the videos at some point in the next week and just get it done, because I know I've signed up for a million webinars that I don't end up watching. And this one is really important. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with signing up for something that you don't end up watching, because how much guilt are you carrying around from like not doing another thing, right? Like it's okay to be burnt out. It's okay to like be capped on information that you can take in. That's okay. Like you're allowed to sign up for something and then decide like, you know what? I don't like, no, I need to preserve my energy. But if this is something, if the resistance is keeping you from watching it or keep from catching up on the previous trainings, I'd highly recommend just like doing it, just get out of the way, at least get the first one out of the way, just to like while you're cooking or something, because you don't have to do anything with this information. It's very empowering, I promise. So yeah, I'd say like, if this is something that you need, take advantage of it, but also no guilt about whether or not you watch it. I just hope you do, because I shared a lot this week. So who is this for? Who is, yeah, I'll answer that. Can you put that in the Q&A? Why do we have resistance? So who is this for? You've tried every diet and nothing works long-term. You feel out of control or addicted to food. That's a really big one these days, right? Like sugar addiction. Maybe you've worked on it. Maybe you are in a place where you feel like, okay, your relationship with food is like doing all right. And you've kind of been divesting from diet culture and following a bunch of body positive or anti-diet accounts. And so you started to work on the food guilt piece, but you're still feeling guilty all the time. Like you're not quite free. So maybe you're like not chaotic around food. and you're not restricting, but mentally there's still a lot going on up there. Because that's really like, what's the point of this whole thing if you're still caught in your head 24/7? Okay, so this is the difference between phase 1 and phase 2. So we'll kind of go through those in a minute. You've spent your entire life trying to shrink yourself so you can be accepted and loved, right? That's a big one. I think in all ways, this is like one of the most powerful things about this work for me, is that we shrink ourselves not just in bodies, but we shrink our personalities. We shrink the things that we care about. We shrink the things that we want to be doing, or our dreams. Like how many times have you gotten in the own way of your dreams, or, you know, lowered your dreams, lowered the bar for yourself because of your insecurities, because of your perception of your self-worth? All right. I'm recording this, right? I hope so. Yeah, I am. Okay. I totally wanted to shrink, and I've always felt too much for other people. Yeah. I refuse to shrink myself anymore. Yay! I love that. Yes. You know, one thing, I had a client really, really early on when I was working in a doctor's office, like a couple years ago, and she was one of the first people I did this kind of work with. And I remember her saying, like, why can't I just shut my mouth? And she meant it in the context of food, but so powerful to me, because I was like, that's dieting. Like, that's dieting, shutting your mouth, learning to shut your mouth. Ugh. Like I just got chills, because I'm like, ugh, that's so, and I don't judge her for it, you know? I don't judge her for it, because I think we've all felt that way at some point of like, why can't I just shut my mouth? You obsess about something that you said that might have like ruined the mood, you know, or you're obsessing about like having an opinion and not wanting to share it, or you're obsessing about what you've put in your mouth, why you can't be controlled. It's hard to smash the patriarchy on an empty stomach. Exactly. So you hate your body, you feel like a failure, or maybe you like dislike your body. You're not quite at hate anymore, but like dislike, you know? But dieting is not an option, right? We're all here because dieting, you know, no one joins this webinar if dieting is still an option for you. So at this point, a lot of you mentioned this week that you just want to figure out how to be healthy. But the problem is, right, you rebel against the simplest lifestyle changes. You rebel against any effort to like get healthier. You think about your food, think about food in your body all the time, but you can't quite figure it out. And I know a lot of people have said this week, like, I just feel hopeless. I feel like I'm never going to figure this out. Like, I'm never going to be able to, you know, just have healthy habits, or like stop these habits that are really hurting me, or take that autonomous power back over food and over your body and over just everything, right? Because we're kind of in this autopilot, fear-driven state. How you feel about your body robs you of joy. This is huge, okay? Because when we don't feel good about our bodies, what do? We skip events. We don't go out and meet new people. We don't go on trips, or we don't wear the things that we want on trips. We don't go to the beach or the pool party or whatever it is. Like, we don't go do these things. We don't go to the buffet or the party that there's gonna be food at. So you're missing out on all these life experiences because of how you feel about your body, when in reality, like, how we feel about our body fluctuates a lot. So why is that getting in the way of life? And, you know, underneath all of it, your mind feels like a constant battle. And so where does this, like, what do you believe? What are the beliefs that are kind of running this whole system? You're probably, not everyone, I'm sure not everyone identifies this way, but a large portion of you probably do. Success oriented, maybe a little perfectionistic. You're scared of failing, right? You're scared of not being good enough. And you are terrified of letting go of control, because you feel like, if I let go of control, everything's gonna fall apart. But, and this is a really interesting dichotomy or juxtaposition, is you probably also describe yourself as lazy with no willpower, and that you need to try harder. How does that make any sense? That doesn't make any sense if you actually think about it. Those two things cannot go together. Maybe you're highly sensitive to people's emotions, and you believe that being empathetic means you take on people's problems. Like it's inevitable that you're going to take on people's problems or feel drained. When the truth is, the reason why we do that is for people pleasing, right? We try to control the way that people see us. So we take on all their feelings because we think if we can like make their lives easier, then, they'll keep us around, or if we can prove our worth, or we can, yeah, that's kind of it. We can make things easier. You never want to be a burden. I hear that all the time. I don't want to be a burden. Well, guess what? Sometimes you're going to be a burden. It doesn't mean people stop loving you. If someone stops loving you because you like have a different opinion or you're not emotionally available 24/7, like that's a problem. Maybe you believe that if you stop to feel your feelings, everything will fall apart. Because that's how it can feel sometimes, right? Like if I stop and I start crying or I start actually leaning into the feelings that I have right now, everything's going to fall apart. I'm not going to be able to do. I have too many responsibilities. I have too many people counting on me. I have too many people relying on me. All of these bullet points that I've already listed out, these same bullet points are the same reason why we're always like, oh my gosh, because if I take care of myself, then I'm going to be a bad friend to everyone else. I'm going to be a bad, mother or father. I'm going to be a bad sibling. I'm going to be a bad child, whatever, like we think that if we start to take care of ourselves, then everyone will leave us, everyone will hate us because we're not taking care of everyone else. We're like focusing on ourselves and then we're lazy or whatever. Or not lazy, but selfish. That's the one. And the feelings feel super overwhelming. Exactly. But journaling helps. Yeah. Maybe you believe that you'll struggle with your weight or struggle with food forever, which is so ironic, so interesting, because one thing I want to ask or propose is, are you struggling with your weight, or do you struggle with society's expectations of your weight? Because your body would probably be like, we're fine. Like if we lived in a different culture, you wouldn't be struggling with your weight. If we lived in a culture where like body size was normal and it was just not irrelevant, right? It's as irrelevant as hair color, or it's as irrelevant as like, whatever. Then you wouldn't be struggling with your weight. You can struggle with your own perception of your weight. You can struggle with how you feel in your body. But this idea of struggling with your weight can kind of feel like you're always fighting yourself and you're always like trying to manage yourself. And like, you don't need to be managed. You can't be managed. You're not manageable, right? Don't be managed. Maybe you believe that health means doing everything you can. You got to change it all. You got to eat vegetables every meal and you got to work out consistently. Someone posted in the Facebook group, does anyone else struggle with feeling like you have to work out at like an hour, do this like high intensity thing for it to count? No, you can dance around your kitchen. That's working out. That's moving your body. There's in betweens, but a lot of us struggle with all or nothing mentality. And maybe you believe that changing yourself, your body, your behaviors, whatever, will protect you from judgment and rejection. So here's the place that we're all kind of stuck. You just want to feel confident, happy, healthy, and fulfilled, which of course society has been like, weight loss is the only way. So you're caught. You're like, do I keep trying to pursue weight loss or do I pursue freedom? But it's like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because everything we've talked about. So quickly, who am I? Registered dietitian. I am a food freedom coach. I'm also a success and leadership coach. And I struggled with my body, quote unquote, for 10 years. I binged and, ate in the middle of the night quesadillas to suppress my feelings, and I controlled everything. I tried to control my relationships. I tried to control my friends, and I didn't know that I was trying to control them. What I thought was like giving them advice. Like I thought that I was just helping or like helping them, find out what's best for them. No, if someone wants your advice, they'll ask, So I thought all of these things. I thought I was perfectionistic, but lazy. Yeah, so I feel you. And the number one thing, the biggest thing that I did was learn to let go of control. Absolutely terrifying process, but so unbelievably life-changing because I feel like I attract I don't want to say magic because that sounds so cheesy, but I just feel like I attract what I actually want in my life, and not like, oh, I attract like an expensive bag showing up on my front doorstep, but like people and these moments, these like these surreal moments when you're like passing by someone, or you just, I don't know, it's just different, right? Like I don't feel like I'm in a rush and anxious and stressed all the time. I'm open to all of the beauty that life has to offer, and that's because I eat enough and I let go of trying to control it. I realize that my plans for myself are not nearly as good as the plans that could unfold. Because how does my little tiny ego brain know what's possible? It doesn't. So I'm open. I'm open to the world is going to show me. So why do we want weight loss? Well, these are some of the things that we talked about this week. And these things, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are without trying to pursue weight loss as the gatekeeper for these things. You actually have a better chance of getting a lot of them. Confidence, energy. You know, one of the things we've talked about a couple days now is like, why do we think we're going to get energy from a thing that restricts us from energy? Doesn't make a lot of sense. Preventing diabetes, like diabetes is not a punishment. We talked about this before. Diabetes is not a punishment or a curse to the way that you eat or your body size. And the fact that that's the narrative is so harmful. So quick recap, if you don't know these things, we talked about them this week. Definitely go back and watch the video 2. So diets don't work for most people. Your body is designed to keep you in equilibrium, which is freaking awesome, by the way. Being fat, why is it unhealthy? Why does everyone say it's unhealthy? Well, because of the way you're treated. Weight stigma in medical care, chronic stress, unhealed emotional trauma from just, and this isn't, not to say that every person who's fat has unhealed emotional trauma, right? Because that's not it. It's just disproportionately, I would imagine, yeah, because, hey, guess what? You're being oppressed and stigmatized every day of your life since you were like 5. So that's traumatic. And then you're consistently reminded of it. Like you really have to go out of your way to do this healing and even know that this healing is available to you, because the internalized fat phobia runs so deep and is so systemized. Weight cycling and yo-yo dieting are huge stressors on the body, and things that are directly correlated. Is it correlated? Oh, I am not going to actually say what I was about to say because I don't remember the specific. On Wednesday, I put a bunch of resources so you can go look at those. But yeah, the effects, we do know that dieting causes like hormonal and physiological stress on the body that is not good for your health. Also, we know that kids who start dieting at an early age have worse health outcomes as adults. But being fat, just period, point blank period, is not inherently unhealthy. And you can't tell if someone is unhealthy by their body size. In the same way that there's a lot of thin people who are unhealthy, or, you know, normal BMI people. So you can't tell, we don't know, but there's this whole, you know, vitriol because of fat phobia. And dieting does the opposite of what you want. It doesn't give you energy. It doesn't give you stability. It doesn't even give you weight loss. It doesn't give you confidence. It actually makes you more insecure and have worse body image and a worse perception of what you're able to accomplish, self-efficacy. It doesn't give you healthy habits, right? Because you're just cycling between stuff. So it's doing exactly the opposite. So why do we do it? Well, we'll get there. But here's some things that you need to know. Resistance and rebellion are a gift. I know a lot of you mentioned that. Your eating patterns and obsession with your body are coping mechanisms from unhealed body image, self-worth, all these things that happened to you as a kid, okay, or growing up or whatever. Even now, the messages that you receive and the beliefs that you have about your body, coping mechanisms. Also, if you're living out of alignment, if you've been, maybe you picked a job. Well, a lot of us dieters pick the jobs that we think will like be the most respectable jobs, the career paths that we think are respectable or that our parents will approve of, or, you know, it's the thing that everyone does. I was just talking to someone yesterday who was like, I got my master's because that's what you're supposed to do. And she didn't want, like, she already did that. She paid for it. She went through the program, and it was like super abusive. You know, being in a graduate program is like not, I have a lot of thoughts about the education system being like highly abusive. But you know, she went through all of that. Now she's like, well, you know, it's all part of the journey, but didn't even realize. So how are you maybe living out of alignment in your life because of trying to meet certain expectations or meet certain standards for yourself? And so maybe a lot of numbing, a lot of your emotional stuff, a lot of your eating habits or whatever, or trying to control your body come from dissatisfaction with the way that your life is set up. Yeah, I picked a safe job, exactly. So your body is not the problem. Fat phobia is the problem. And your body's been protecting you this whole time. It's trying to let you know that something's off so you can do something about it. And of course, none of this is your fault. It's not your fault that the culture taught you this and society is this way, but it is your responsibility to your healing. I just wanted to throw this slide in because I love it. I think it's pretty. The body is beautifully designed and keep you in equilibrium. Like, I love it. All right, so what is healing? Healing is learning to trust your body without proof. It's embracing yourself in the messy, imperfect, and vulnerable. Because, hey, guess what? Whether you allow yourself to be messy, imperfect, and vulnerable or not, you are already. You've been messy, imperfect, and vulnerable for your whole life. No, even if people think that you have it all together and tell you that all the time, you still are messy, imperfect, and vulnerable, because we all are. Once you realize, like, it really takes some of the whatever star power away from certain people when you realize they don't know what they're doing either. Like, we all don't know what we're doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. Right? Like, we don't know what, like, we're just figuring it out every single day. All of us are. Healing is also facing your fear instead of running from it, because like we talked about this week, when you don't deal with your fears, when you don't face them, you end up running into them nonstop. You end up like continuing to move towards them because all you're doing is focusing on them rather than questioning whether or not they're actually fears. Healing is also learning how to feel your feelings and ask for what you need without feeling like a burden or without being scared that someone's going to leave you because you have needs. Healing is giving yourself permission to stand out and rebel. We talked about this yesterday, like, how awesome would it feel to like rebel against all this stuff, rebel against the pressures and the societal expectations. And healing is taking the power back over your mind and figuring out your sources of fulfillment, your purpose, and getting hooked on freedom instead. Like, once you actually start to feel that freedom, oh my gosh, it's addicting. That's the thing that now I want to move towards, which is a great way to channel this hyper focus that you have on fixing yourself. Switch it to freeing yourself. So, food freedom for life. This, like I said yesterday, I am opening the enrollment for my group coaching program, Food Freedom for Life, and I'm going to explain more at the very end. But the reason why I'm bringing it up now is because, one, this is the steps that we went through yesterday in the videos, in the call. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. We're going to kind of talk about phase 1 and 2 briefly. And what I wanted to mention at the beginning is that at the end, if you want to stick around, oh wait, no, it just happened. There we go. At the end, if you want to stick around, I'm going to explain more about Food Freedom for Life. I am offering a huge discount as a way of saying thank you for hanging out with me this week. And just, you know, I know that financial situations may not be the best right now, that you're feeling really uncertain. So there's 2 ways to join. There's the basic, which is just like you get all of the information and you come to the Q&A calls. And then there's the all-in option, which is like a lot more VIP support from me and from a small group of people. So I'm offering really big discounts on these. And again, I'll talk about it later. But if you have questions or you want to know more, I had sent out the link, and these bonuses actually expire at midnight because the The enrollment opens to the public tomorrow. And I want to give this to just you all. So yeah, that's happening. We'll talk about it at the end. Quick note though, I sent out yesterday when I sent out the first code, it was a different code than this one, but the other code doesn't work anymore. So that's the new code, the All In Baby, if you want to join All In. Okay, so tell me in the chat if you're in phase 1 or phase 2. So phase 1 people, you are new to food freedom, you're new to the anti-diet world, or maybe you've been like, you knew about it for a while, but you're just now starting to like dabble in it, right? You're still restricting, or maybe you've stopped restricting, but you still feel really out of control around food, you're binging or you're emotional eating, you're rebelling against dieting, and you're kind of caught in this middle ground of trying to unlearn diet culture, but the guilt is so intense. All of that, all right? Phase 1 is also your diet brain is fighting you. And that kind of carries into phase 2. Like it's not really this distinguishable. So phase 2 people, maybe you're feeling more normal with food, right? You've already started to like undo the restriction piece, but you're still struggling with the guilt in your head. You're much better at sitting in the discomfort, but you still have a lot of work to do, right? Phase 2, you're still learning. Phase 2, you're still panicking, but it's not as intense. So phase 1 is like, oh my God, what's going on? 24/7. Phase 2 is like, okay, it's getting a little bit easier. Okay, it's safe. What's going on? Okay, no, it's safe. Okay. That's what phase 2 is. Phase 1 is constant panic. Phase 2 is like panic free, like, and the panic minimizes. The tricky part about phase 2 is that the panic is, you almost don't realize sometimes that it's still there, or the judgment, you don't even realize it's still there because it's way less than any judgment you've ever had before. Like it's minimized, but it's still there and it's still getting in your way. So phase 2 is really like more nuanced. Still anxious a lot of times. We talk about that. You still need to work on feeling your feelings. Maybe you still need to work on, healing the emotional stuff, the root cause stuff, like what you learned about your body, all of that. So I'm going to talk phase 1, phase 2. Now that you all know like which you're in, I'm going to refer back to them. Oh, and phase 3 is like the rebuilding. Like you're through all of it. You are trying to figure out what health actually means to you now. And you don't really restrict anymore. And you're not really feeling guilty as much anymore. It comes and goes sometimes, but like overall you're doing pretty good. That's phase 3. And phase 3 extends into like full freedom. So mindset tips. Let's talk about the mindset stuff. This is why you're here. Yay. All right. The voices in our head. This is probably the most powerful thing on this slide in this presentation, because it will help you make sense of what the heck is going on in your head. Okay, so these are some of the voices that might show up. The diet culture voice. The diet culture voice is, you know it well. It's the one that's like, don't eat that. Nope, you're gonna gain weight. Oh no, you can't do that. Why haven't you worked out? It's the one that's like yelling at you all the time. All right. Self-improvement bully. So the diet culture voice, the diet culture bully morphs in phase 2, and in phase 1 and phase 2 morphs into the self-improvement bully. Your self-improvement bully is also the one who like buys all the self-help books and listens to all the self-help podcasts, but then all you do with that information is guilt you because you're not meditating enough, and you're not like waking up early enough or going to bed early, or you're not doing all the things that all these healthy people tell you that you should be doing. So the self-improvement bully is the one that like utilizes all of the self-help information to make you feel even worse about yourself. It's also going to be the one that transforms in the food freedom process. And instead of saying like, why aren't you dieting? It says like, why aren't you done healing yet? Okay, like relax, it's a long process. Like get on board. It's not going to happen overnight. The inner child. We love them. We love him or her, whoever yours is. The inner child got stuck somewhere along the way when you first felt ashamed of your body. The first time you felt ashamed, or you felt afraid, or you felt like your needs weren't getting met, your inner child bunkered down in your body and was like, well, we're never gonna put ourselves in that situation again, and how dare you be imperfect because you deserve this. The inner child is terrified. The inner child just wants the, like, truly, your inner child just wants the best for you and is scared, frightened, sitting in a corner. Yeah, your inner child's like 4 years old, exactly. Sitting in a corner with a blanket, like hiding and freaking out. Your inner child hides. That's who's hiding inside of you. And you know, one thing I always say to my clients is when they're like, "Oh my gosh, my inner child's freaking out." I'm like, "Well, we love her for that. You know, we love her for that because she really is trying her best. Like she's trying her best to keep you safe. She's not very good at it." Because she needs to be healed. She got caught and she was never healed. So what we do is we heal her or him or them. Okay, then you've got your data collector. So your data collector is both, can be neutral, it can be positive, can be negative. These ones at the bottom, these ones can kind of swing in both directions depending on where you're at. So your data collector is the one who like loves to research the nutrition stuff online, you know, loves to look stuff up, read the self-help books, like listen to all the podcasts. The data collector is constantly collecting information. It's also collecting information about the world, right? About society, about stigma, about the way they're treated, about the way that your parents treat you. It's the empath, right? Your data collector is the one who's like, ooh, this feels like a scary situation. You need to, yeah, data collector is the perfectionist. Your data collector is like, this feels like a scary situation. I can't predict how this person is going to react right now. So I need to completely change myself in order to make sure that this person is not going to reject me or react badly or whatever. Okay. The data collector kind of integrates with all of these because it's like picking up information constantly and it's fairly neutral. What happens with the data collector is that if we are running on shame and fear, the data collector will look for evidence for what you're working on. So that's why fear subconsciously like controls our life, right? Is when we are terrified of being rejected, you're not addressing, right? You're just letting yourself be terrified of rejection or letting yourself be terrified of not being good enough. Your data collector comes in and looks for all of the evidence why you're not good enough, why you're going to get rejected. Because it's trying to protect you. It like teams up with the inner child. The inner child's like, hey, I think there's something. Can you look out for some rejection? Because we can't do that again. We can't go through that. And data collector's like, I'm on it. All right, let's do this. And then it's like, okay, this is evidence, this is evidence, this is evidence. So what we want to do is we want to change the data collector to be on our team. We want the data collector to look for positive stuff that empowers us. It is like a courtroom, yeah. We want the data, right? Like you can find evidence about anything. So if you believe that you're never gonna be able to have food freedom, your data collector will find 1,000,001 reasons why you're never gonna have food freedom. And that's just what it is. If you believe that you will, that food freedom is possible, your data collector will help you find all of the evidence for why it's possible. So we need to get it on our team, but we have to open up the doubt, right? We have to let in a little bit of doubt. Yeah, it's like Google. You can find evidence for anything you're looking for. All right. My absolute favorite voice are two favorite voices are the next two. There's the older, wiser you, the one who's 20 years ahead, 10 years ahead, whoever, the one that you picture who's like, that's the badass version of me that I want to be. The older, wiser you is sitting up there. It's looking back at you at whatever age you are right now. And it's saying like, oh, they're so worried, but like, it works out fine, sweetie. Like you're good. The older, wiser you is like, yeah, do that thing, go on that trip, like have those experiences, like just relax, it works out. Your older, wiser you, like this is the one that I really want you to tap into when you're making decisions about how to take care of your body, whether or not you should even start this food freedom process or how to continue on the food freedom process. Your older, wiser you is probably going to give you some great advice. And so when you feel the need to look around at diet culture in the world or me and ask me if it's okay if you do something, ask the older, wiser you. She knows, he knows. Oh, you're getting emotional thinking about older, wiser you. Yeah. So my older, wiser me is like in this beautiful, like, I can't describe it. I don't know. One of those long, like, yeah. I'm 58 and already the older, wiser you. Okay, but your older, wiser you can still be older and wiser and glam. My older, wiser me is glamorous. Walks into a room and just owns the party, right? Has so like doesn't react to other people's stuff and is able to get on that stage or educate people or do amazing things in my career. The older, wiser me is the one who runs my business. I don't run my business. My older, wiser me runs my business, right? Because my days are up and down too. Hey, they always are, but the older, wiser me has always got it together. Okay. And then the rebel. The rebel, I love this little graphic because it's like, the rebel is the one that I also, a lot of you are going to really benefit from leaning into, the one that's like, I don't want to conform. I don't want to keep my mouth shut. I don't want to keep trying to shrink my life for other people's approval. So your rebel right now is probably channeled into like not being able to fix a habit or go to bed earlier or like meditate more, you know? Your rebel right now is rebelling against the things that are good for you. But your rebel could be rebelling against the things that are bad for you. Diet culture, bad for you. Rebel. Keeping your mouth shut, bad, rebel. Yeah, your rebel is allowed to be overreactive or overactive. That's good. Lean into it. Use it. Like if you look around, there's business owners. You can look online and on Instagram and stuff and find business owners, coaches and things who build entire businesses on being rebellious. That's their whole sort of brand. It's like, I'm rebellious. I'm going to scream and yell about everything that I want to scream and yell about. And it's magnetizing. So if your rebel is overactive, use it somehow. All right. Yeah, it's your angsty teen. I almost found a picture of an angsty teen to put on that slide, but I just liked this little like, ah. So let's talk about decision making. One of you asked me, how do you know if you're making decisions out of fear? So the fear-based decisions are the ones they're pretty easy to spot because it's like, okay, am I afraid of being rejected right now? Am I afraid that I'm going to mess things up? Am I afraid of being judged? Those are going to be the subconscious fear-based decisions. Now, the way that we can use the subconscious and the fear is to it. Because then once we face it, we then know, oh, these are the patterns, these are the things that I do when I'm operating in fear. And so, okay, I'm not going to make decisions from fear. One thing that I have everyone promise themselves, stop making decisions from fear, point blank, period. If you're panicking, if you're anxiety, if you're in like stress mode and fear, shut it down. Wake up tomorrow and make a decision. Do not make a decision in that moment. You don't have to. 99% of decisions can wait till tomorrow. Get out of fear first. If you're thinking about downloading Noom or whatever diet app or weighing yourself, if you're thinking about weighing yourself because you're afraid, just come back to it tomorrow. Simmer. That was one of the most powerful things for me because with my business, with relationships, with everything, it was like, okay, I'm not going to make any more decisions from a place of fear. If I'm in fear, I'll just come back to it. Now, the data collector is kind of halfway. It's the rational one. It's the one that like does your checks and balances, looks at your finances, who's like, okay, this is what's going on. Like, what's the likelihood that I'm actually going to get anything out of this? Or like, what's the, but the data collector, the problem of making decisions with the data collector all the time, super helpful for a lot of your life. When you make decisions from it all the time, sometimes it works against your best interest, your values, because the data collector has so much data about why like things are not going to work or why you're going to fail or whatever, that it can work against you. So I like to write it out. I'll write out, okay, what am I afraid of happening? What does my data say? What's the rational thing? And then the intuitive, the older, wiser you, what would she want? What would he want? What would they tell you to do? You're sitting down having a cup of coffee with your older, wiser you. What would they say? And I literally script these out, like a literal script. So you can do that. Like, oh, my older, wiser me would say this. So whose rules are you following? all these things about, oh, I just feel guilty if I don't do this thing, or I should be doing this, I should be doing that. Who says? Whose rules are you following? Fear leads to a lot of indecision. I avoid making big decisions. Yeah, but what's interesting is that you actually don't avoid making big decisions, because not making the decision makes the decision for you. We think that we're indecisive and that we're not making decisions, or we avoid making decisions. No, like you are actually making a choice, but it's probably to continue to stay stuck. So whose rules are you following? And how can you start to introduce some new rules? Others try to make decisions for me. Ooh. For a second, I was like, are you a 9 on the Enneagram? So you may notice that whenever others tries to make decisions for you, you rebel against it. That's good to know about yourself. Okay, this is the next mindset piece, which is huge. And when I first heard this from my coach that I worked with last year, I didn't understand it at first. She says, her coach, my coach is named Alyssa Nabriga. She's incredible. She's a business coach. And she said, when you feel the urge to go fast, slow down. And at first I was like, what does she mean by that? What she means by that is when you're like, why isn't this happening? Why isn't this working fast enough? Why isn't this, like, you know, why am I not done yet? Why can't I just be over this? Why am I still dealing with this? What's going on? Why can't I break this habit? Why can't I do, you know? When you feel the urge to go fast, slow down. Patience, trust, surrendering, letting go of trying to control it. Diet culture, going on diets, diet cycling is the definition of going fast. Something happens, you have a fear, maybe you have chaos in your life, you need some source of control, or you look at your body one day and you freak out, and then you go into like overdrive, like your whole nervous system just, oh my gosh, I need to diet. And so you go and you look for the diet and you sign up for things in the middle of the night, like, I need to figure this out, I need to fix it right now, tomorrow I'm starting and it's going to be amazing, I'm going to go shopping, I'm going to get like $300 worth of like celery, and you know, and we want to fix it fast. And that's why this is the biggest thing that I see getting in the way of people actually choosing food freedom for themselves, is they're like, what do you mean it's gonna be a long process? Like, I want a quick fix. I don't know if this is for me. But okay, you can stay in the quick fix for the rest of your life, but like, it's not getting you anywhere. You're just looping. You're stuck in a loop. You're like a hamster wheel, right? Running around being like, quick fix, quick fix. And then you're so disappointed. There's this thing called the pink haze or something like that, the pink cloud, in diet culture, where when you start a new diet, you get a high from it. You get a literal dopamine rush from starting a new diet, and you're running around telling everyone how amazing keto is, or like whatever you're doing, paleo, who cares, right? You're running around being like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, look at me, I'm changing my life. You probably have a lot of friends who do that to you too. They'll come to you and be like, I started this new diet, and they almost look like they're bugging out about it. And then what happens like 2 weeks later, you know? Sometimes though, the tricky part about this is like earlier on, it probably went months. Maybe you did diets for months or a year even. That would be wild. But that's what we consider success. Food freedom is forever. It's the rest of your life. Yeah, it's not satisfying in the moment, but oh, it's so worth it. You're going from distrust, disconnection, and codependence on other people telling you what to do. That's what I mean by codependence. You're codependent on every health coach that you follow on Instagram, on Noom, on the Weight Watchers app, on everything, to tell you what to do, to how to feel about your body. What food freedom does, it teaches you to trust yourself, connect with your body, and have autonomy over your life, to make your own decisions, start listening to your own rules, make your own rules. All right, we talked about this, but quick recap: numbing, rebellion, resistance, backslides, old patterns, anxious thoughts. There's 4 things, as far as I know, maybe I'll add more to this, that it can be. This is a checklist for you, so feel free to screenshot it. A, unhealed fear. If you're numbing, you're procrastinating, you are eating your feelings, unhealed fear, maybe fear of rejection, you're dieting, urge to diet, unhealed fear. B, numbing, procrastinating. It's not for you. If you procrastinate on doing work that you have to do, if you procrastinate on calling that friend or going to hang out with that person or whatever that you have to do, it's probably because you don't actually want to be doing that thing, but you're not willing to admit that. And so you procrastinate on it. Procrastination is such a gift because guess what? All the things I procrastinate on in my business, cut them out. Done. It's harder when you work, you know, it's harder like when you have a job that there's things that you inevitably have to do. So at least like the job enough, right? At least find a job that actually excites you enough to do the things that like kind of suck. So every job, even if you run a business, every job has things that kind of suck. It just happens. But if you're procrastinating in a lot of areas of your life or you're avoiding, maybe it's not for you. Maybe you're not supposed to go down that path. C, it's the big one, learn it again. If you keep running into the same patterns, the same challenges, the same responses, the same thoughts, you gotta keep learning it. Like you gotta keep learning the lesson. We talked about this yesterday. How many times have you dated a person and you ignored all their red flags and then you were like, I'm never gonna ignore red flags again. And then the next person you date, same red flags. Just gotta keep learning it. It's not shameful. Don't feel bad. It just is what it is. All right. And D, all of the above. That's like when your life really starts to kind of open up. All the things. This is, you know, part of the process. I think everyone has a degree of these things. Okay, I know we're going to go a little bit over. That seems to be my theme this week. Hope that's okay. It's a Saturday. This one is really important, so I want to take my time kind of explaining this. Everything is a mirror. What do I mean by that? So I posted in the Facebook group that it's not possible to avoid judgment. You will be judged. If you're a human being who sees other human beings, you will be judged. Just is what it is. I get judged all the time. The bigger my platform gets, the more judgment I get. I'll send out this presentation. I didn't write up notes though, but I'll send everything out. It is not possible to avoid judgment. And here's the thing. So if someone's judging you for your food choices or your body or trying to tell you what to eat or tell you not to eat that or tell you whatever, it's because that person, so if you are a giant mirror, that person is looking at what you're doing. They're seeing that you're choosing to eat something or they're seeing that you're not dieting or whatever it is. Their insecurities are reflected back at them. Start panicking. Why is that person not dieting? Why are they eating that? How can they eat that? I can't eat that. Why are they fine with it? I don't understand. This person starts freaking out. It's probably mostly subconscious, and then makes the comment that wreck you. So you can take the power back from judgment when you realize that other people's opinions say more about what's going on inside of them than it does about you. If your parents criticized your body when you were like 8, 10 years old for being too big or chubby or whatever, it's because your parents saw a reflection of themselves in you. You weren't a human, you were just a little walking mirror, and your parents saw like this extension of their own psyche, and they were like, oh my gosh, I don't want this kid to like have to deal with the insecurities, body image insecurities and weight stuff that I have to deal with, and so I have to tell them to lose weight and I have to like make sure that they avoid it. But right when we don't actually deal with our fears, we end up moving towards them. When that's the subconscious pattern of like, I don't want my child to deal with body image insecurity, so I'm going to tell them that they should lose weight. You give them body image insecurities. I work really hard to look like this and still hate myself. So you don't get to look like that and love yourself. Exactly. That is fat phobia in a nutshell. People being like, you're not allowed to like yourself, to be confident, because I hate myself. So I'm going to tear you down with me. You're not allowed to like yourself. Same thing for, you know, if you are triggered by something that someone else does, if you are activated by something that someone else does, or someone else's existence, right? You see someone and you're like, ugh. That is telling you something inside of yourself that needs to be healed. One of the most powerful exercises that I've done is think about people that you are so annoyed with, and then think about people that you admire and almost feel insecure and jealous when you think about them because you admire them and you're like, I'll never be that way. Well, actually, you can find yourself in both of those people. It's the shadow and the light. So the light is look around at all the people that you admire. You admire them because you see yourself in them. But then the bully comes in and is like, but you're not good enough. No, you admire yourself, you admire them because you see yourself in them, point blank, period. So if you think about all the things that you like about them, then it'll give you information about qualities that you have in yourself. And if there's someone you really strongly dislike, ask yourself, are there things that I maybe embody too, that I want to work on, that I want to heal? And then it's, you know, you kind of stop judging people as much, which is really nice. So these used to be green check marks. Oh well. The biggest thing that you can do today, if you walk away with anything today, aside from the voices, because those are really powerful, it's finding your why. Why are you doing this? We kind of started this yesterday, but I wanted to revisit it, expand on it. Here's some of the reasons why my clients have pursued food freedom. Activism, rebellion. You're naturally drawn to social justice conversations and oppression conversations and activism and fighting for what you believe in. Oh, food freedom is the best thing that you can do in that regard, because the activism world is awesome. So great. Such incredible people, like such amazing conversations. It's awesome. Breaking generational cycles, you know, not wanting to pass it on to your kids. Some people, it might just be, I want to be free because I want to do it for my inner child. Like she's in the corner, she's hiding, she's scared, she's hurt. And I don't think that she would be happy with the way that I'm still living my life. I think she would want me to blossom. I think she would want me to fight back. And so we protect her that way. We heal ourselves and we just look at the inner child and we're like, love you. Stay there. You can keep hiding. You're good. You're safe. I got you. Or do if you're older, wiser you. Then you've got a generation of people just inside your head, inside your body. Mental space for fulfillment. You want to change careers. You want to find a career that fulfills you. You want to feel like passionate when you wake up in the morning and excited to do your job or do whatever. Well, you got to stop thinking about food 24/7 in order to do that. Making your own rules, autonomy. For those of you who completely rebel against people telling you what to do or being controlled, and like your worst fear is someone telling you what to do. Well, diet culture is telling you what to do 24/7. So make your own rules, autonomy. Choosing yourself is pretty counterculture. This kind of goes with rebellion. Saving money. This is one thing that I mentioned to someone in the comments in the Facebook group is think about how much you've spent on dieting over the years. It's going to save you a lot of money. If you're not buying $200 worth of vegetables that you let go bad in your fridge because whatever cleanse you decided to do, you realize you don't actually want to do it because it sucks. Like, that's so sad. And don't feel guilty about it. It just is what it is. Like the number of diet books I've bought in the middle of the night on Amazon, yikes. The number of apps that I've paid for, downloaded. Some of you have said, like, you know, the amount of times you've signed up for Weight Watchers or Noom recently. Why are you looking at my fridge, Whitney? Because this happened literally everyone. Oh, I bought all this food. I let it go bad. And we're terrified of food waste. It's like, no, you're doing your best. You're doing your best. But, you know, you could save some money with food freedom. Not having to buy clothes all the time every time your weight fluctuates is cost effective. If you are a helper, you're a healer. Oh, personal trainers. Yeah, same. If you're a helper, you're a healer, you're someone who wants to help people. Helping yourself is the most motivating thing ever. That is what carried me through. I talked about this yesterday. That's what carried me through. I realized that in order to help other people, I had to help myself first. I had to heal myself first. And that is so much motivating because it's bigger than me. That's when you can use your empathy and your natural tendency to like help people to empower yourself instead of drain yourself. This is a reframe of what we think we have to do to take care of people. Helping yourself naturally leads you to have better relationships because you have boundaries and you actually have energy for other people and you're less reactive. You're more in touch with yourself. Helping yourself is not selfish. Helping yourself is one of the most selfless things that you can do because it's terrifying and it helps you show up in the world more powerfully for other people. Finding your why. Maybe your why is just you want to enjoy your freaking life. You want to go on the vacations. You want to go to the beach. You want to, wear a swimsuit. You want to go to networking events, or, you want to do speed dating. You want to get on those dating apps. I don't know, whatever. Like, you just want to enjoy your life. Okay, so you can't enjoy your life if you're obsessing about food in your body as much. You can still enjoy it, but you stay in a lot. Stronger relationships. I kind of mentioned this before. Better advocate for yourself. This makes so much sense why I'm unfulfilled. Yeah. It bleeds into every area of your life. Living in alignment. This is what I was talking about before. You're in a job that you hate, or you're doing things in your life that you really are not you don't actually like, you don't actually want to do these things, but you're scared to admit that because that's unknown. And that means that you have to change. And that's scary. That's financially scary. That's just vulnerable because you're like, what if I fail? I change, I put in all this money into changing careers, or I risk not having a job to change careers. Like, what if I fail? Well, guess what? As long as you are hiding in fear and living out of alignment, you're going to be numbing, you're going to be coping, you're going to be looking for escapes everywhere because it's so uncomfortable to face your life. So living in alignment, even though it's terrifying, when you actually start to do it, that's one of those things that actually starts to give you that instantaneous rush that you were looking for from dieting, is by making decisions that are for you. Every time I've had a client who ends up quitting a job or leaving a partner or doing something, radical, because they're like, wait, this is not the life that I want. Who made this life? It wasn't me. They come to me and everything can be in shambles. No job. And they'll come to a session and be like, I've never felt more alive. I've never felt better. It happens that fast, even though of course the fear is like, how do I feed myself? It can happen that fast. Just breaking up with a friend who drains you every time you hang out with them, invigorating. Freedom and stability. Not having to wonder if you're going to be up and down any given day. I wanted to tell you about this client because this is one of the most incredible stories that I've seen, just because we did it like this and it was awesome. And this is something I actually am going to have everyone do in the group program. When we first started together, I asked her, so what do you think about now? What occupies your mind? And it was like a pie chart, right? 50% other people's health and happiness. She was constantly thinking about other people. 25% food, all the time, just food, in her waking hours. 10% how I'm perceived by others. The 50% other health and happiness is subconsciously the same as thinking about how you're perceived by others, because we're obsessing about others being okay, because we want to prove ourselves, or make sure that we're doing enough for other people, or if we make sure everyone else is okay, then we'll be safe. So it's kind of they work together. 10% work and 5% TV and entertainment. Okay, so then I was like, all right, at the end of coaching, what do you want for yourself? She said 10% other people's health and happiness, 10% food. I want to eat when I'm hungry, but I don't want it to have as much value or energy, or 1% how I'm perceived by others, because we're always going to think about it to an extent. 10% work, 4% TV and entertainment. Yeah, perfect. 40% myself, my own health, my own happiness, passions, hobbies, activities, things that make me happy. 10% romance. And then she wanted to get into makeup and start doing makeup artistry, or and so she said 15% makeup and beauty. What ended up happening after 6 months? 40% well-being, 10% family and friends, fun and hobbies, and food and health occupied about the same, future and work. Isn't that amazing when you're looking at this? Like, it shifted. So she used to think, instead of 50% was other people's health and happiness. And she went then to 40% me and my well-being. How cool. She's so happy. She literally used to tell me all the time, like my friends told me that I've never been more fun, that I've never been more exciting to be around, that I seem like a different person. I seem more grounded in myself. All of these things. She can advocate herself. She got over her fears of going to the doctor because she started just advocating, like fiercely advocating for herself, to her parents, to her doctors, to her whole medical team. After years of doctor abuse, like weight loss abuse from weight loss doctors, yikes. She started like, no, I'm done putting up with this. You're gonna listen to me. It was really awesome to watch. It was so, so cool. And that can be you. That's not, yeah, if you're inspired by her, that means that can be you. I put this in the group the other day, but it's so much more than food, right? This person, I thought this was really interesting. I wanted to share with you. It's like, I've thought of it as actions I need to take whenever I need to change something. But this made me realize that all you need to do is internal work. And then the outside changes as a result. When you do the inner work, the outside starts to kind of fall into place. So much easier. And the reason why I wanted to share that one too is because this person was it was a group program. Like they didn't get any extra like special one-on-one coaching with me. Like that was just the fundamental idea that if you change your mind, you'll start seeing external changes is super powerful because you'll witness the beauty of it like almost immediately. It's awesome. So these are some of the things that you get. And I've gone over a lot of these. I'm not going to go over them again. But this is what food freedom can offer you. Now, food freedom for life. The reason why I wanted to talk about this at the end, and I'll answer questions after this, is because this is an option. It's an option if you need support. It's an option if you want to keep hanging out with me and want to learn my approach. This is very different, right? I am going to tell you right now that you're not going to come out of a 4-month group program fixed. But Food Freedom for Life offers like 2 pathways for phase 1 people and phase 2 people. So the phase 1, I'm giving you all the fundamentals, like how to heal emotional binge eating, how to unlearn diet culture, what health at every size means, how to start like integrating healthy habits or a healthy lifestyle after all of that stuff, like how to deal with the panic and the fear, talking about body image, things like that. And then for those of you who are kind of past that, I'm offering, so those things will come in like 10-minute modules, basically. Like I'm going to record little things like, oh, this is emotional eating, hunger and fullness, you know, whatever. And you can watch those. I'll roll them out and I'll kind of comment on them. But then the weekly live webinars, I'm going to kind of recap whatever the food stuff that we're talking about is, because it's always helpful to relearn it. And then we're going to be talking about things like boundaries, self-acceptance, fulfillment. Is it lagging? I just had like a internet connection's unstable thing. It was. Am I back? Okay, I'm okay now. Woo! All right. All right, sweet. Thank you. So for the phase 1, right? Doing all the food stuff, for those of you who need it, the food freedom fundamentals. And then the phase 2, I'm going to make them short videos so that they're easily digestible. And then the phase 2 stuff is what we're going to be talking about throughout. Fulfillment. What things feel out of aligned? How do you actually start to heal those things that you learned from your parents, or all of those traumatic experiences of being, you know, stigmatized or being told you need to lose weight? How do you deal with people talking about diets in the office if you know, deal with that a lot of work? How do you shift out of the panic? How do you advocate for yourself at a doctor's office? How do you advocate for yourself in relationships, with friendships, in your job? Emotional regulation and mindset. So that's really the bulk of what we're doing, but you're also going to get the food freedom stuff, like the actual tangible steps of healing your relationship with your food along the way. But really what this program is about is the deeper work. It's about the mindset underneath, because you could read all the food freedom stuff and intuitive eating and the fucking diet and anti-diet and all that stuff. You could read all of that. I'm still going to give it to you, but you could read all of it. You don't need me for that. I'm going to the next layer under. Like I said before, it's not going to fix you in 4 months. It's just not. I think that expectation can set people up for disappointment. Here's what it will do. Hold your hand through the most chaotic parts of the journey and give you support, because we have to heal in communities. Grounding in who you are, self-awareness without judgment. You will leave the program feeling more in touch with yourself, more self-aware, more empowered, even if you have work to do still. You will learn how to feel your feelings, because that's like the thing we talk about probably the most, is like, all right, so how did it go crying your eyes out the other day? What do you actually do? How do you process this anger towards your parents or whoever hurt you? Healing the old wounds. I'm going to teach you boundaries. Boundaries and communication are my specialty. I'm going to teach you how to deal with any situation that you might come across where you have to advocate for yourself or say what you need or tell someone to stop telling you to lose weight or stop telling you what to eat. How do you actually do that and not freak out at them? And not like, stop. Not let your inner angsty teen come out and be like, stop talking to me. How do you do that like a more grounded adult, so that people actually listen to you and not just like, oh, pity you or whatever. And tools. So the best part of this program is that you're going to feel confident that you have the tools to keep going, because this journey can take a while. It can take years. Like, I could never develop a program that would get you to fixed. And it's not even fixing, right? It's not about fixing. We're done with fixing yourself, honoring yourself. I'm teaching you how to honor yourself, and I'm giving you the tools to continue to do so on your own. So you don't have to go looking around for answers everywhere else. Like, you have them, you know yourself. I'm gonna teach you how to listen to your body so you can have your own answers, how to be a coach for yourself in a sense. This is the pricing. There's 2 options. The $997 is the basic, and then the all-in option is the $1597. All in is limited spots only. It's for people who want VIP access to me, so tech support, extra group calls, extra small group coaching. And the basic is like, you get all the materials, you come to the Q&As, you come to the live webinars, and it's still like very supportive and interactive, and it's a lot of information. So all in is just kind of that next level up if you really want a community, and it's for people who want to like show up fully, like who want to come to the calls consistently. If you have a busy schedule, all in is not for you. If you don't know if you're going to be able to come to calls live, like all in is not for you. It's for people who like really want to create that sense of community and also have the ability to do so. So I don't want you to like, pay for something that you're going to miss out on. And also it's just better for everyone who's in it. Now, like I said, I'm offering discounts through the end of today. So the early bird is 30% off. And then the all-in baby is 15% off all in. And the reason why the all-in percentage is less is because I just have limited spots in it. So it really is just kind of first come, first serve in that regard. If these are completely out of your price range, I've already had 3 people email me about scholarships. I'm going to cap it pretty soon, because it's going to depend how many people actually join the program over the next week, how many scholarships I can let in, just like financially speaking. If anything else, I have my membership site, Club TYB. It's literally $5 a month right now. You're not getting like structured content. You have to do a lot of the work on your own in terms of like finding resources, but there is some basic videos. There's an archive of videos, and I do regular like Q&A style group coaching calls in there. Yeah, a bunch of people in this call right now are in Club TYB. It's fun. We have fun in there. It's a Facebook group. It's a membership site. We're actually going to be switching platforms soon, so that it's like more of an interactive membership site rather than just all on Facebook. But right now it's like majority. But Club TYB is fun because we do these like little group coaching calls, and yeah, it's a good time. Why is the best time? Here is whether you join my program or not, here's what I want to communicate to you all. Right now, with as much uncertainty as happening in the world, we're awake. our routines have been disrupted. We're you know, confused and maybe scared and overwhelmed by everything that's going on. We're having to find a new normal, which feels like so up in the air and so confusing, because you're like, well, what is a new normal? Like, how do I know if things aren't going to happen, like more lockdowns are not going to happen? When your routine is disrupted, when you are hyper aware of all the ways that you're living out of alignment, this is the perfect time to make changes in your life. This is the perfect time to do healing, because you're awake. And you can use this awakened energy as a launch pad. You're already uncomfortable, right? You're already afraid. You already don't know what's going to happen. The myth that we have control over the future is kind of gone right now. And that's the hardest part of stepping into food freedom or committing to healing. The hardest part is basically, you know, choosing uncertainty, but you never had certainty of the future, right? But we can convince ourselves that we do. The illusion of control. Right now, there's no illusion. We don't have control. So heal. That's my message on that. Now is such a good time. People are changing. People are waking up. You may notice a lot of people in your life who are experiencing some major changes in their life as well. This is such a good time to be doing this. And also, how long are you gonna live stuck in the diet roller coaster? Food freedom, this kind of healing, is not about like if you decide to do it, if you decide to leave dieting and go to it. It's when is the comfort zone that you're in right now no longer comfortable? And change is like obligatory. So it's not if, it's when. So that's my little speech on why healing is a really great time. Really, it's a great time to be doing this. Whether you join the program or not, I really encourage you to continue your healing journeys. I would love to have you on the program. I would love to support you. I'm going to answer Q&As now. I'm going to answer questions. I'll stop the share. Yeah, that's it. I hope you learned something from all the mindset stuff. I'll send these out again, and I'm going to answer some questions now. Okay. Q&A. So what did you all think? Did you learn some stuff? Well, you tell me in the chat what you learned. Yes, I'm so ready. Yay. Also, today I'm going to be putting everyone who joins the program, every time I run a program, I put sticky notes of all the people that have joined. I put your names. So you're going to get a little sticky note wall right here. Okay, can you talk a little bit about the fact that food freedom may mean gaining weight? It might. You remember the Club TYV sticky wall? Yeah, the first time I launched it. Yeah, so food freedom might mean gaining weight. It might be losing weight. It might mean staying the same. It might be gaining and then losing, or losing, you know, it's like your body is leveling out. Now, one of the things that happens when you start food freedom or you start giving yourself unconditional permission is that you get really bloated and inflamed at first. And it can feel like the scariest thing ever, because you're like, how did I gain weight this quickly? What's happening? It's been a week, like you're bloated, you know? It's literally not possible. But that's a blessing, because you are forced to work through it and realize that you never had control over your weight like you thought you did. You never did. It's all an illusion. Yeah, this is the hard part. This is the stuff we talk about in depth, and it's not easy, but we can finding your purpose, finding your why is the thing that gets you through the most difficult parts. My biggest hurdle is my dysfunctional relationship. Do we need couples therapy before I can get to food freedom? No, you do not need couples therapy before you get to food freedom. And in fact, starting to help yourself with food freedom will empower you so much more in working on your relationship, because you're taking care of yourself. Take care of yourself first. Don't put off taking care of yourself until you, like, you know, everything in your life is in order. I feel like I'm doing okay in my journey, definitely making progress, but I'm going to be spending some more time with my parents soon. I'm nervous about that causing backslide. Advice. Yeah, the mirror thing. remembering that your parents are just doing their best with the information they have. They don't have the information that you have. And so their opinions, even if your inner child is really hurting and is angry and is like, why are you doing this to me right now? We love her, she's trying to keep you safe, but you know, your parents are autonomous human beings too. We can't control them. We can't tell them what to do. We can't tell them about intuitive eating or food freedom or any of that stuff. We just got to let them do them. Yeah, I will. Okay. Why do we have resistance to things that we know are good for us and will serve us better? I feel this every day for exercise and beat myself up at the end of the day for not doing it. Okay, again, so we talked about this earlier in the week, the difference between performing health and actually valuing like healthy lifestyle changes that you want or health behaviors. So I would ask yourself, like, why are you exercising? What's the point? Are you exercising because you think you have to? Or are you exercising because you want to, because you like the benefits? Or because it's supporting your body, even if you don't like love it, right? Because not all of us are going to love exercise, but there's ways that you can exercise, right? Like go on walks, go, you know, go. I was telling a client the other day, go on, one of the things that I used to do with people all the time is like go look for houses in the neighborhood that we thought were cute. We'd like critique all the houses. You could spend hours walking around your neighborhood doing that, critiquing people's houses. That's exercise. Dance in the kitchen, that's exercise. Like it's not, you know, what kind of exercise are you trying to perform and feeling guilty about? And how can you actually start to like move your body in a way that feels joyful? Okay, next question. When we talk about the pendulum, if we realize that we actually were restricting in different ways over a period of years, does it mean that the pendulum will need to be binging phase for years? No, it can be a lot shorter. But the thing that keeps the binging phase long is not being honest with the way that you're still restricting. Also, you might be emotionally eating or binge eating if you are just missing fulfillment in your life. And that's one thing that is like, no amount of healing from diet culture is going to fix the fact that you feel unfulfilled. So that's what this program does too, is like help you acknowledge the areas that you don't feel fulfilled so you can start to at least honor them, even if you can't do anything about it right now. So it feels a lot better when you at least know and start to formulate a plan than when you're just sitting and like, I don't know what's going on and I'm stuck. I feel like my biggest hurdle is my dysfunctional relationship. Oh, answered that. Can you give some pointers on teaching yourself to stop comparing your body, your eating, your exercise to others? I get really triggered when my friends talk about food or exercise at all. And I used to be a pretty serious runner, but I've been injured and know I shouldn't run. But when my friends post their mileage on socials, I feel like it's part of my worth for not being able to do it too. Question what it means about you that you're not going for runs, all right? Question what you're making it mean about yourself when you see everyone else doing it. Because other people running, other people posting their mileage, those other people are not doing anything wrong. They're your mirrors. They're mirroring back to you stuff that you need to heal, probably related to your self-worth from being an athlete. Athletes tend to experience this a lot. You carry a lot of pride and self-worth in being a successful athlete or being good at being an athlete. Like that's our identity. Our identity is wrapped up in it. Same way that like your identity might be wrapped up in dieting. Oh, I'm the dieter. I'm the healthy one. I'm the fill in the blank. But you are actually so much more than that. So if you can't run because you're taking care of your body, that doesn't actually affect your worth or your identity. Like nothing's changed. It's just a thought. It's just a thought in the way that you feel comfortable and in control. And so it's about expanding past these like identities that are so fragile and embodying like who you are and allowing yourself to grieve. Like if you miss running, grieve it. You're allowed to feel sad to miss something that you love doing, but it doesn't mean you're less than. Are you gonna go deeper into how to heal the inner child? Not today, obviously, because that's like a whole thing, but throughout the program, yes, that's a big part of what we do because it kind of always comes back to the inner child. Can you make decisions with both the data collector and the intuitive? Yeah. That's how we want to use the data collector. Instead of having the data collector be, the sidekick to our fear, we have the data collector be the sidekick to our intuition and sidekick to our older, wiser selves. Is the program appropriate for teenagers? Ooh, good question. I forgot to put that in the FAQ. I typically say not below 16. 16 to 18, I find works, but anything below that, like the stuff that we talk about with fulfillment and all these things, like it's just not there yet. And there are like teen programs, there's teen workbooks, there's people who work specifically with teens and younger. So the way that we go about it, because this emotional stuff is like any younger, it's just, you know, it's harder. It's also harder when kids are like still living in the house, but it's not impossible. You can still like live at home with your parents and also like heal from whatever's going on. But yeah, I usually cut off at 16. What's a way to achieve food freedom if I can't afford food freedom for life or coaching? I'm already doing so much better than before. Club TYB. Yeah, I think you're in it. Podcasts. There's so many podcasts. Listen to mine, listen to, you know, Christy Harrison's. I'll post a bunch of podcasts. I'll send them out. I feel like I'm closer to phase 3. I've done a lot of work on myself in the past year and with therapists, but I'm interested in transitioning to IE career. So what to do? Yeah. Okay. Email me and we can talk about that. Maybe more between phase 2 and phase 3. Yeah, just email me. Does the basic Q&A calls allow me to ask questions out loud? Yes, it does. It's like more like group coaching and it's hot seat. So you'll have like, I'll be like, who wants to go next? Who wants to ask a question? We'll unmute you and you can talk. I have very sensitive stomach. I found during phase 1, swing back to thinking certain foods are bad because they make my stomach hurt. How do I go all in but still avoid stomach discomfort? So one of the things that you're going to want to do is probably do step by step, like 1 food or 2 foods at a time and ease your way into it. But also remembering that like a lot of us, you may have real diagnosable food, stomach, GI issues. Or it may be a result of the dieting fear and all the people online who are like, this is making you inflamed and like corn is like terrible for you or whatever. I used to think that I was lactose intolerant. And then when I was healing my relationship with food, I accidentally had like a 16-ounce latte with whole milk. I didn't realize they put whole milk in it and I was fine. And I was like, oh, my lactose intolerance was stress. So. Could you go deeper on examples of things to do, say, to heal the inner child when the trigger comes up? Keep her safe. Love on her, you know? Acknowledge her presence. Like start by just writing it down. Before you heal the inner child, start by acknowledging and writing it down, because you can't write it down you can't heal it until you understand that it's there and what it's trying to say, what it's trying to do. So write it down, scripting. That's what I was talking about before. Script out the different voices. Oh, my inner saying this right now. My older, wiser me is saying this. My self-improvement bully is like really laying into me today, you know? Write it all down because you'll start to connect the dots. You'll start to make patterns. I don't know of any mindfulness type apps that support food freedom. That would be a great thing for any entrepreneurs in the group if you want to use that to motivate you. But yeah, I don't know of any. But if I come across any, I'll let you know. Post in the group or something. Speaking of athletes, do you have any thoughts on former high-level athletes that maybe gained a lot of weight and reject exercise after being forced to work out for so long? I feel you. Sucks. I would do the same thing. If I was forced to work out for years, oh, you better believe I'm sitting on my freaking couch. And at a certain point, rebelling against all forms of exercise is only hurting you. It's not actually rebelling anymore. It's just hurting you. At first, it's like, give your body a break. You know, that's kind of the phase 1 mentality. You need a break. But then at a certain point, you're just hurting yourself. And so trying to find new exercise. I said this yesterday, but you can't heal in the same place that you got sick. I already told my uncle about intuitive eating and HAES, but he doesn't understand. And sometimes I don't speak clearly and remember exact things. He has a reading learning disability, so I can't. How do I deal with this? Why do you want him to understand? What's the point? Some people are just never going to understand. And that's something that you have to, when I say you can't control your parents, you can't control your family members or friends or coworkers or whatever, what I mean is that if they're not open to understanding or like openly asking you questions about it, don't try to force learning on them. Don't try to, it's not your responsibility to educate them. It's your responsibility to set boundaries. A lot of times what we try to do is we try to educate the people in our life or force them to learn things because we think that if they can just learn it like you did, then you won't have to set boundaries. They'll just get it. Doesn't work like that. People don't want to learn about this. This is so deep comfortable to learn about diet culture and fat phobia and stuff. It's so uncomfortable to learn about, and it goes against everything you've ever been told. There's so many things online that go against this, and trying to educate someone who doesn't want to learn about it is a losing battle. So what you do is you just say, I really want to tell you about this thing that I'm exploring or doing. If you want to learn about it, tell me. But in the meantime, these are the boundaries that I need, or this is like what I need you to not say. That is why I want to teach people all the time, so I don't have to set boundaries. Mind blown. Yeah. Setting boundaries is really hard. That's why it's such a big part of this program, because it's like, all right, how do we actually have these conversations and not be terrified the entire time that the person's going to be like, oh, really? You're setting boundaries? Get out of my life. Now, here's the thing. If you set boundaries with someone in your life and they're mad about it, they make you feel bad about it, get them out of your life if you can. Or whatever, figure out what you want to do. I live with him and we share food because of money issues. Again, boundaries, explaining your experiences. Hey, this is my experience around food, without being like, this is everything you need to know about diet culture. Letting someone in on vulnerability, being vulnerable with them. So also we try to educate other people instead, because we don't want to be vulnerable about what we experience. We don't want to explain because we think that someone won't understand. It doesn't matter if they understand or not. Explain what you experience and ask for what you need. Point blank, period. And then open the door and be like, let me know if you want to learn more. I'm happy to tell you more. Happy to send you a podcast, you know? Completely trivial question. What is your t-shirt? Oh, I meant to do this in the beginning, but I was stressed because it's a cat. Okay, so this is a t-shirt that I put on a bra for you all today. You're welcome. And this is a t-shirt that the She's All Fat podcast, if y'all don't listen to the She's All Fat podcast, go listen to it. Start from season 1. It's freaking incredible. But they made with a local shop in LA. This was like last year they made the shirt, but it's allies of all size, which I thought was really cute. It's so cute. But yeah, She's All Fat is the host of it now. Sophia is, you know, one of my good friends. They're amazing. That podcast literally changed my life. If you want to learn more about fat activism, body acceptance, and just navigating the world while fat, She's All Fat is the best podcast that I can recommend. It is so good. It's funny. It's informative. It's like heartwarming. Oh, yeah, that is how I found me. Yeah, I've been on it a couple times. Also on the shirt and can confirm comfy. Yeah, I know, it's so comfy. I love it. Okay, so like I said, the discounts expire tonight. If you have questions, email me, go in the group. I'm gonna try to kind of go through and say hi to everyone. I'm gonna send out all of the stuff in an email. Thank you all for sticking around. I know this is long, like I kept you really long. So thank you, I'm a talker. Also, literally, I've had so many business coaches be like, Winnie, stop making webinars so long, stop giving away so much information. And I was like, that's messed up. So you got a heck of a lot of information this week. I recommend that if you can't afford coaching or you can't afford the group program, go through and rewatch these videos like 10 times, because you're going to learn a lot every single time. You're going to pick up on new things. It's good to hear things over and over again, because like you just, you know, you hear something new. It's like when you rewatch a movie and you're like, oh, I didn't even notice that. Grateful for you all. I loved this week. It was so fun. Thank you. Email me if you have questions. I'm going to be putting some sticky notes. We already had some people join, so I'm putting you up on the wall. I'll send out all the discount codes again. Love you all, and see you on the interwebs. Bye. Aww.